Khalid is a distinguished artist, and here's how we got acquainted. Here is my trip to Iraq. I worked at the National Council of Churches for the first 20 years of my career, and I worked for a section of the National Council of Churches called Church World Service, and we were a relief agency. Still, the people are still there, and they work with Save the Children, UNICEF, and we donated blankets to Iraq. So as part of an organization which donated blankets, I was the communications person, and I went to Baghdad. And here's a picture I took from Baghdad in about the year, it was either 1996, I think it might have been 1998. I think it was one of those 2 years. And at that time, the United States had imposed terrible sanctions, economic sanctions on the people of Iraq. And I could show you some more painful pictures, but this picture is painful enough if we take a closer look. Here's a lady with her sick child. Take a look at this child, is not feeling well. And look at the part of the stand in the hospital bed. This is from a hospital. There are no medicines visible. There's no medical equipment. The sanctions imposed by the United States had been so severe that it was costing the lives of children. And Khalid, you would have been a young person at that time. Would you tell us a little bit about what you were experiencing during the sanctions?
Yeah, I remember these years. It was very, very hard years on most, like all Iraqi people. And in 1998, if the picture was in 1998, as I was a pharmacist, but I was pharmacist at that time. Mm-hmm. And people were really struggling to find medicine. So yeah, it was a very, very tough time.
Yeah. Is there any memory in specific? Were you ill at any point? Did you need some medicines or any friends of yours that might have been in the...
Yeah, like a lot of stories. I told you I was pharmacist, so that was part of my daily encounter with people that looking for medicines that they couldn't find. So it's really a hard time.
Yeah, yeah. I had the great privilege of leading a team of doctors to, if I can get the screen to move here. I led a team of doctors, that's me on the right, a team of doctors to Iraq in December of 2002, just before the Iraq invasion. And the doctors gave lectures in their field of specialty. And we also got to visit a reconstruction of the Great Ishtar Gate in Babylon. That has been taken apart and taken to the West. But the original Babylon was there, and we saw a reconstructed gate. The greatness of Iraq, much that we could talk about there. Then I went back in 2003 and the place was a mess. And I realized I could not bring doctors to Iraq after the US invasion. So I said, what could I do? I had been so fond, and still am so fond of the Iraqi people. I said, let me go to Syria. There were about 1 million refugees who went to Syria from Iraq. And here on the right is one of the good doctors, Dr. Mazhar Rishi, a wonderful doctor who has sadly departed, left us. Here we are at the UN office, and the lady here is Miss Sibylla Wilkes, who recognized the great paintings, and that's where I met Khalid. So let's go to Khalid in Baghdad. Here is Khalid at in his student years, and tell us a little bit about your training. There's a young Khalid, very young Khalid, and some of his colleagues. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this photo I think was taken in 2000. I was studying art with a private tutor, and he's actually a well-known Iraqi artist. His name is Dia Hassan. I'm sorry. And this is in Al-Orfali Gallery in Al-Mansur in Baghdad. Yeah, we had fun, and he was a good tutor. Well, I learned actually a lot from him. Yeah.
And these are other students and professors?
These are other students, yeah.
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 And here is where I met you in that the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees office in Damascus. The blue tag is the sign that that you're at the UN. That's the ID. And the gentleman on the right is Mr. Omar Edda. And he is a wonderful friend of mine, a brilliant painter. And when we go back to seeing my studio here, I have his painting up. Here on the left is Wahamada, who is now in Baghdad.
In Baghdad, yeah.
And he is a brilliant painter. And so we have some great painters that we met. And here in the middle is our good friend, Khalid Alaani. So let's take a look at some of the paintings. I said we should bring these paintings to New York, and Miss Wilkes helped. So let's take a look now at some of the beautiful paintings. Tell us a little bit about this wonderful painting, if you would.
Yeah, sure. Like when I was studying art, I love landscape. So I think in 2009, I started doing more contemporary art. So I kept the landscape in the art, but I changed the way I presented. The title of this painting, I think it's a Golden Valley, where like beautiful trees, all kind of color mixed together with the field, and you can feel the breeze of the wind, and yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful, gorgeous painting. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let me move on to our next painting, if I can do that. This is a large size painting, and tell us a bit about this, if you would.
Yeah, this is a big painting. It's, I think, 60-inch by 35-inch. I used to go to, like, when I was child, I used to go to a countryside, a small town to the west of the country. Actually, both of my parents from that city. It's called Anna, and I spent like very like gorgeous childhood. I was climbing trees, swimming in the river. This is the Euphrates River to the left of the painting, the white color. You know, when the current is rapid, the water turn white, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can see like all kinds of colorful, fruitful trees, and there is some small scattered houses.
And those of us, I guess most of us on this webcast would be from the West, from the US. We in high school and college, we heard about the Fertile Crescent and the beginnings of civilization. So this is where the eastern edge of what we in the West would call the Fertile Crescent, the Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers. So this is the rich, fertile land between the rivers.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Here is another two wonderful paintings and a great photo of you. We've been looking at, this is the one we use for our publicity, yeah. We have been looking at landscapes, and now we're going to be looking at some people. So tell us a little bit about what you choose, when you choose to do people, when you choose to do landscapes. You do both.
I started with doing like landscape, then I moved to like making figure. Just I feel it's more a specific way to represent myself or the people around me. And those two paintings have title of Immigration 1 and 2. I came as a refugee to the United States in 2012, and I think those two paintings were the first and second paintings that I made here. I took a crosswalk as a representative way of like people who try to cross from one side to another or from one world to another, and both of those women are refugees, and you can see the expression of being like tired, but have the hope of getting what they want. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful colors, wonderful pictures of a mother and a child.
Yeah, this actually, the title of this painting is Border. And I did this painting, I think, in 2016, when we got to hear about building a wall to like prevent people from coming to this country. And I felt like this is really like heartbreaking to prevent people who suffer a lot, and they must have gone through very, very difficult circumstances that push them to come to the US. So
Exactly, exactly. While I remember, before, lest I forget, and I'll try to remember to mention this before the end of the program, a couple of basic points. These paintings are for sale. And if you want more information about that, you can contact Common Humanity. Get in touch with Khalid. We'll put you in touch with him, but contact us through commonhumanity.org. These are also visible on our commonhumanity.org website. If you go to the art gallery at the top, another mother and child.
yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful deep blue.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yet another mother and child. Who are some of the artists who have influenced you? What are some of the people that have been of influence in your career, in your work?
Actually, I think every beautiful art influences me, whether it's music, whether it's a poem, whether it's painting. But I was lucky to get to know like great friends, and they were I mean, they are still artists, and one of them is my best friend is Omar, also Ella, Wadda, Tahsin. Those are really influenced me a lot with their art and with their like friendship.
Mm-hmm. Do you go to galleries here in the U.S.? Are there painters that we might know here in the West who have been influences on you?
Actually, I'm a member of the Art League in Torpedo Factory Gallery, and there are a lot of good artists. But one of them, she's I think her name is Troy Coles. Mm-hmm. She do abstract, but I really love her work. Yeah. She's so significant.
Yeah. Here is another wonderful painting of a lady seated on a chair. Mm-hmm. How do you get your inspiration for? Is there a particular way that you set aside time each week to paint, or do you just wait till this inspiration grabs you?
I wish I know, but I try to like have a certain time when like in weekends when I don't have anything else to do. So just go to the to my studio, just listen to music, maybe sip a little bit of red wine, and start like playing with colors. Like hoping that I would get something. Yeah.
Well, it certainly seems to work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Whatever wine you're drinking is great working. So here is yet another very vivid colors, a kind of vulnerability here I'm feeling in this painting, a sensitivity in the face of this lady.
Yeah. The title of this.
I'm sorry.
Okay. The title of this painting is A March. I did it after a woman march that happened, I think, in 2016. It was really inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right. Women out there speaking up for their rights, right. And you're with that spirit. Let's take a look at some of your current work in the Washington, D.C. This is in, let's see, where would this be, this painting?
This I think it's in Canada, and Fuad Hamdi's gallery or studio. He's one of well-known Iraqi artists. Um, he's the one with the blue shirt. Yeah, we went. I think it's in Hamilton, Canada. Yeah, and he has very, very pretty studio. He's very like hardworking artist. So every time you go there, you could see like tens of beautiful painting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing a gallery in where's
this is in Los Angeles. I think it's called a New Theme Gallery. This was the first exhibition that I did in United States, and it was in 2012. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you're across the world and across America. That's great. This is a studio in...
Yeah, in California, yeah, in Los Angeles.
California as well. Beautiful, excellent.
Thanks.
And here is the artist in a reflective pose, sketching.
Yeah.
You draw your inspiration from nature, so you're outside sometimes?
You know, Washington, D.C. has a lot of like statues, and it's inspiring, I think, for every artist. So some of them are really realistic statues. Some are more contemporary statues. So yeah, I used to go there and sketch them and yeah, have a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it's working. The process is definitely working. I want to invite a couple of questions and answers before the half hour is up. Time is slipping by. So if any of you out there have a question you would like to ask Khalid, you'll see your Q&A screen, and we'll go back and take some time for questions and answers. But let's look at a few more paintings, and then we'll see how we're doing for questions. This is another wonderful painting of a lady here.
Yeah, it's like part of series. As I said, it's called Immigration, and she's like walking and crossing. These are crosswalks, and you can see the hope in her eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the process of immigration really brings two worlds together. So it would be difficult, but yet it brings some additional strength and insight to immigrants.
Yeah, and I always like when I do like immigrant, I pick a vivid and beautiful color or rich color of the clothes they wear, just to symbolize the richness and the beauty of culture that they are bringing with them.
Exactly. Wonderful. That's so true of you, and so true. Wonderful. Here is a delightfully mischievous look there.
Yeah, I like to draw about urban life, and this is more like urban more than like country. She's a Western girl in urban city, like in city. Yeah, she's happy and delighted.
Let's close and go to some questions. This one a little bit smaller. This is a bride and groom?
Yeah, it's the title of it. It's a wedding. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We ask all of our guests, let's see if some questions have come in, but we ask all of our guests one basic question: what should we do for peace? This is the Peace Channel. And if you go to YouTube and look for Common Humanity Peace Channel, you'll see some other programs we've done and we're going to be doing in the future. This program is recorded, will be posted there in a few days. So this is the question we ask everybody. We have wars and famines, and what a mess. What can we do for peace?
Yeah, I think it's a tough question, but if people maybe listen to each other, try to understand each other, maybe love each other, for sure that will create better world than the world that we live in. Yeah, I think this is the like perfect recipe for any conflict.
Such a good thought. And thank you for helping us to understand your background and your world.
Thank you.
Let's see if we got some questions. We do have some questions here. Now, if you click on your Q&A, Khalid, you will see
Yeah, questions.
some questions here.
You can read it for me if you want.
Yes, indeed. Omar, our friend Omar,
Yeah.
said, I wanted to thank Mel for supporting Iraqi art. Thank you, that's very nice of you. I'm also wanted to say thank you, Khalid, to share your beautiful art with us. So that's from our friend Omar. Thank you. Wonderful. I got to talk to Omar and get some. I want to see him.
You have,
Wonderful.
yeah, you have to.
Wonderful friend. Josh writes, how do you use your artwork in any capacity, making the artwork or the network you're a part of, to use it for peacemaking, or social justice? There's a good question. Is there ways that we can use this wonderful art for peace?
I think this is part of Common Humanity mission, or the Peace Channel mission.
Right.
We are talking about the conflict in certain regions in the world. We are talking about the beauty of, let's say, other side of the world, and talk about the issue that matters people, the real people there. And this is, yeah, for sure, this is the core of Common Humanity mission.
Right. Len writes, can you say something about despair and hope? This seems to be so characteristic of our time. Thank you, Len. That's a great question. It's hard to watch the news these days.
Yeah.
So difficult. What are some things that give you hope? This discussion at this very moment is giving me hope. Khalid, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm feeling more hopeful just at this very moment. Thank you, my friend. What are things that give you hope?
If you pardon me, I think meeting and talking to the right people in the right time is the best way to get the hope that we need nowadays.
Yeah. Chris writes, are there, do you deal with political themes at all, or is that not something you work on much?
No, actually, it come to me like by incident. Like I love to like paint about the beauty of life, the human being, their stories. But you know, I live in this like community, and what affect the community, for sure, it's affected me. So yeah, I don't plan to do that, but sometimes I get to do it.
Mm-hmm. Amar writes that we should express forgiveness between others. What a wonderful thought. We usually look at the news and think about who to get mad to, but we don't often look at the news and think about how we can forgive each other. And I think that we need forgiveness in the United States. We have invaded your country, Iraq, and we have done so many unhelpful things as a country. I love America, but we've done so many unhelpful things. And I think we need some forgiveness for the way we treated Iraq. And thank you for being our friend and for coming and talking to us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Amar also writes, spread education. That's education and job opportunities.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we are getting towards the end of our half hour. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us, Khalid, that we didn't cover? There were a lot of paintings that we didn't get to. So I would like to now express an invitation to you to come back in a few weeks. I don't have an exact date yet, but if you would come back and continue our conversation and see some more of your beautiful art, I'd be very, very honored.
Anytime. It's a pleasure to me for me to be with you and to talk about my paintings.
Yeah. Well, we are approaching the end of our hour. In case you just joined us, we're speaking with Khalid Alaani, who is a wonderful friend of mine and an artist, born in Iraq and now living and working as a pharmacist here in the States, along with being an artist. The paintings, some of the paintings you have seen are for sale. A little bit too complicated to go into here on this note, but contact commonhumanity.org website if you would like to learn more about that. Thank you, Khalid. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you, Mel. Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to be with you.
We will most likely be back next week. I'm not sure with our summer schedule if it's next week or 2 weeks, but we're going to be continuing our Peace channel, doing what we can to get the message out there that we need to live together in peace. Again, our website is commonhumanity.org. Any contributions you wish to send to commonhumanity.org to pay for our computer that we're using, to pay for the Wi-Fi that we're using, to pay for the cable that we're using. Thank you so much, Khalid. Thanks for being a guest. Have a wonderful weekend, and so glad to have you as a friend, and so glad that you've been a guest on our program.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot for having me, and I wish you a good weekend.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. You promise to come back.
I will, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. We're looking forward to that. Okay, thank you all for coming to be with us.